So to recap, so the Gemara asks, how could you go like to Chumras? We say that someone goes like to Chumras is called Aksil B'Chayshe Chaylech. So that a fool who is going in the dark. So you can't go take on two stringencies upon yourself that going like two different people. So in the middle of the V'Bayis Ema, second line of the Gemara, V'Bayis Ema Hachi Ka'amar Kol Heicha Demishkachas Trei Tanayu Trei Amarai the Pligi Adadi, wherever you find two Tanaim and two Amarayim who argue on each other, Ke'ein Machlekes Beishami Beiselel, Loyli Avid Ki Kulei Demar Vechi Kulei Demar. You cannot go like the Kuleis of Mar, the leniencies of Mar, and the Kuleis of Mar. Veloki Chumer Demar Vechi Chumer Demar, nor like the stringencies, the Chumers of Mar or Mar. Ela Aiki Kulei Demar Uki Chumer Avid, Aiki Kulei Demar Uki Chumer Avid. Either you go like the Kuleis of Mar and his Chumers too, or the Kuleis of Mar and his Chumers too. And therefore, the question was that how could you go like Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai if we paskin Beis Shammai? So if we paskin Beis Hillel, so the Gemara is answering no. When the Brisa says you could go like either Beis Hillel or Beis Shammai, it doesn't mean Beis Hillel Beis Shammai particularly. It means if you ever find a machlekes like Beis Hillel Beis Shammai, you could go like either one. But the point is you have to be consistent. So Mkomakum Kasha. So still it's a question how in the Mavi Akum that was in Nehardah, how did they go like two Chumras, like both Rav and Shmuel? So Amar Rav Nachman Yitzchak, Kulei Kirav Avid, in fact they paskin exclusively like Rav. Kirav Avdua. They acted in accordance with Rav. And so the question would be, according to Rav, by a mavli mefulish, by a mavli that's open on both ends, you do not need doors. You need a suris pesach and on one end and a lechi or a kaira on the other end. So how is putting up doors considered going like Rav? So the Amar Rav Huna Amar Rav halacha ve'ein marin kain. Because Rav Huna Amar Rav says even though the halacha follows the Tanakam who says that you only need a suris pesach, you don't need doors or one door. Still though, that we don't tell that to the Hamonam, we don't tell that to the general public because they might come to be overly makel. So we tell them that you put up a door. Rav Ada Bar Hava Amar Rav, and however according to Rav Ada Bar Hava who says the name of Rav, the Amar Halacha Umayrin Kain who says that the halacha is you put up a suris pesach, you don't need a door. And that's how we tell people to do it. So so how could you possibly say this is going like Rav? So Amar Rav Shizvi Kilai Avdinan Kechumrei de Beitrei Heicha Desasir Ahadari. So he says it's not a question. The only issue we have with going according to two people's chumras, that's when you have two separate, when you have two machleksim which the same reasoning applies to both. And it's in a case where if you would go like both chumras, then there is no one reasoning which would go like both chumras. And for example, Kigain Shedra Vigolgolis, there's two machleksim regarding the spine and the skull. Ditnan, as it says in the Mishnah, Hashedra v'hagolgolis shechasru. So, as we said a few blot earlier, to give off tuma be'ayhel, you either need a shedra, we said it is a spine or a skull, or most of the bones in the body, 125 bones, or two,
or complete spine,
or two legs and a thigh also. So, however, if you have a complete spine or a complete skull, but they got chipped or a piece it's missing a little bit, so then it does not transmit tuma be'oil anymore. Meaning if you and the spine which is missing a little bit are under the same roof, so you don't become tami. So v'kam chisaron, how much has to be missing to make sure that's not mekabel tuma? So b'shedra regarding the spine, as soon as it's missing two vertebrae in the spine, it does not transmit tuma be'oil. A single vertebrae is missing, then it does not transmit tuma, but ayhel, and right. And so here Beis Hillel is makel, and he says, when already one vertebrae is missing, then it's one, then it's not mekabel, doesn't give off tuma in an ayhel. And regarding the skull, the size of a drill hole. Enough of the skull has to be missing that if you take it off a live person or animal, then that person or animal would die. Amar of Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, v'chein le'inyan treifa, and similarly le'inyan treifa. So Rashi explains that this that we said is, which is a kula according to Beis Hillel, that if for example the spine is missing a single vertebrae, so doesn't give off tuma be'ayel. So in regards to treifos of an animal, it's actually a chumrah, because as soon as the animal is missing a single vertebrae in the spine, now it's called a treifa. And then Beis Shammai would be mekel regarding treifos. So the point is, though, that you cannot go like both chumras or both kulais regarding treifos and tuma in an ayel. If you go like Beis Hillel, so then as soon as one vertebrae is missing, it does not give off tuma in an ayel, and it's a treifa. And Beis Shammai would hold the opposite. So even though it's a kula in one case and a chumra in the, so it's according to Beis Hillel, he's mekel regarding tumah, but he's machmir regarding treifos. And Beis Shammai is the opposite, and therefore no person has a right to go like either both cases the chumra or both cases the kula. So you have to go either Beis Hillel or Beis Shammai. And now that we pass in Beis Hillel, so you have to go like Beis Hillel, that we're mekel by tuma and we're machmir by treifos.
How do they contradict each other?
Sorry?
How do they contradict each other?
Because the same reasoning that applies to the machlekes by tuma applies to the machlekes by treifa.
Right.
Meaning as soon as.
So why couldn't you say two vertebrae necessary for tuma and one for treifa, and you'd be just mechumer on both of them? How do they contradict each other?
No, because the same reasoning applies. Meaning if the thing that is kaiveya tuma per se.
Is it whole or is it not whole?
Yeah.
And
is the same
to
thing.
make a decision, is it whole or not?
Is the same thing with.
Right.
Is the same thing which is kaiveya.
You have to either say I hold by the two vertebrae or the one vertebrae.
I know what you're saying, but they're saying you're not doing it because they contradict.
No,
they do.
You can't pick and choose.
Right.
Whatever basis you take for one, you have to be consistent.
Well, you go down the line with that one.
Right. And
they may end up that you're more lenient or more strict on one law versus another.
It's not that it contradicts Mordechai. It's just that you're making it these two we're making a separate concept, and what is called whole.
Right.
I guess.
Yes.
So you have to sort of say, okay, if I'm going to go with that one guy, I can't switch back and forth.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So. Right. However, v'heicha the sus. Sorry.
The low sasya.
Right. Aval the loy sasya hadari avdinan. However, where they don't, or where they are not sides for each other, so you could go like both chumras. So in this case of the mavoy akum, so you could both go like go like Rav, who calls a bent mavoy open at both ends, as if it's continuous. It's open at both ends, and you both go like Shmuel, and you could go like Shmuel, who says that on a mavoi mefulish you need to have a door, according to Beis Hillel. And being that the two machlokes have nothing to do with each other, so we could paskin the chumrah and in both cases. So the Gemara asks, "V'heicha desasri adadi lo yavdinan," where they are opposed to each other, where they contradict each other, you cannot act like that. Massive of Moshe-Yosef had a question from that on that. Ma'aser Rabbi Akiva shliket esrog becha b'shvat. Rabbi Akiva, there was a story to Rabbi Akiva who picked an esrog on Rosh Chodesh Shvat, v'nog by Beis Isurin echad k'divrei Beis Shammai v'echad k'divrei Beis Hillel. And he took off two Maasers, one like Beis Shammai, one like Beis Hillel. So the case was, Rashi explains, that it was coming out of the second year of Shemitah going into the third year of Shemitah. So the first, second, fourth, and fifth years of Shemitah, you take off Ma'aser Rishon and Ma'aser Sheni. The third and sixth years, you take off Ma'aser Rishon and Ma'aser Ani. So, like this, if it was still the second year, so you take off Ma'aser Sheni. If it's the third year, you take off Ma'aser Ani. Now, when is the new year for trees? So it's a machlekes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai says it's Rosh Chodesh Shvat. So according to Beis Shammai, in this case, it would already be the third year of the Shemitah cycle, and therefore you have to take off Ma'aser Ani. According to Beis Hillel, we say Tu B'Shvat is Rosh Hashanah Li'Lanos, and therefore you will be mechayev to take off like the second year. It wasn't the third year yet, and therefore you would take off Ma'aser Sheni. So Rabbi Akiva took off both. He was machmer like both. He took off Ma'aser Sheni and Ma'aser Ani. So the question is, it's a stira to each other. So and it's in the same case. So how could Rabbi Akiva do this? So Gemara answers, Rabbi Akiva gamrei istab biklei. Rabbi Akiva wasn't sure who said what. His learning was he was in doubt. And he didn't know if Beis Hillel said that Rosh Hashanah Li'Lanos is on the 1st of Shvat or on the 15th of Shvat. And that being the case, he knew we passed in Beis Hillel, but he didn't know what Beis Hillel said, so therefore he had to go, misafik had to be knowing both chumras. And Tosfos explains what he did was, he took off Ma'aser Sheni al Tanai, that was really Ma'aser Sheni. He was paida it, and then he gave it to a Ani. And then he took the money and went to Yerushalayim. So he was like both Ma'aser Sheni and Ma'aser Ani. Yeah. So, okay. Now we'll go right in the Gemara. So, Yosef Rav Yosef Kamei de Rav Huna. Rav Yosef was sitting in front of Rav Huna. Yosef Amar Rav Huna Amar Yehuda Amar Rav. And he said over in the name of Rav Yehuda, in the name of Rav, Machlekes Besartia Mikan Besartia Mikan, the Machlekes, the Tanakama and Hanania of a Mavoi Mefulish, a Mavoi which is open at both ends. What do you need to put up to allow you to carry inside of it? The Machlekes is only when you have a Masartia is a highway which is a Rishus Rabim. It's a continuous highway, goes from city to city. That meaning if you have both ends of your mavoi are open to a Rishus Rabim. Upaltia Mikan, or suppose there's an open marketplace at both ends, which is also called the Rishus Rabim. Aval Sartia Mikan Ubika Mikan. However, if you have a highway at one end of the mavoi and a valley at the other end, which is a Carmelis, or you have a valley at both ends of the Mavoi, meaning you have a Carmelis at both ends. So so you put up all you need to do is put up a Tuas Pesach at one end, and a Lechi or a Kaira at the other end, and there's no machlekes regarding that. So the Gemara asks, Hashta Satya Mikan Ubika Mikan, Oisa Loy Tuas Pesach. Now that we said that if there's a highway at one end and there's a valley which is a Carmelis at the other end, so all you have to do is put up a Tzuras Pesach at one end and a Lechi or Kar at the other end. But again, it doesn't make a difference which end it is. So Bika Mikan Ubika Mikan Mi BAYT. So do you have to say that you put that where there is a Carmelis at either end, that you only have to put up a Tzuras Pesach and a Lechi? We knew that already. It's obvious. Once we say that if there's a Rishus Rabbim at one end, so that's all you need. So Kol Shekain when there's karmelis at both ends, so that's all you need. And Tusar Pesach and a Tusar Pesach and a Lechi. So Gemara says no. Hachi Kamar. This is what it means to say. Sarti Amikan Ubika Mikan. If you have a highway at one end of your mavi and a karmelis at the other end, Nasa Ke Bika Mikan Ubika Mikan. It's as if both ends of your mavi are open to a cross street, which is a karmelis. Umisayim ba mishmei de Rav Yehuda, and after he said this, Rav Yosef ended off in the name of Rav Yehuda. Im haya mavoi kol rechava, and Rashi gives you a nice diagram how it looks. If the mavoi is opened fully, it ends off in a rechava, which at the end is open to Rishus Rabbim. So Einet Sarich Klum, so you do not need to put up anything beyond what's already there. Okay, so and the Gemara will explain why yes or why not. So Amar Layabai Rav Yosef Had Rav Yehuda Dishmulhi. This of Rav Yehuda, even though we start off in the name of Rav, he is actually going like his Rabbi Shmuel in this case. The Rav Kasha the Rav Adarav Batarti, because if we are saying that he said this in the name of Rav, then you have two questions from this case to what Rav said in somewhere else. The Rav Yehuda Yirmiyah Bar Abba Amar Rav, because Rav Yirmiyah said in the name of Rav, Mavoi Shenifres B'Milui Lechatzer, a Mavoi which has a pirza, it's reached fully, the back wall is gone, like the case that we just said. It's open fully to a chatzar, v'nifot sa chatzar kenegdai, and also the chatzar has a hole in the wall. That's, if you would go straight along the mavi and go straight into the chatzar, you would eventually end up in Rishus Rabbim if you kept on going. So he says in that case, chatzar muteris u mavoi aser. So the chatzar is muter. You are allowed to carry in the chatzar, because regarding the chatzar, every single gap going from the chatzar to the mavi, going from the chatzar to Rishus Rabbim, it's as if there's a wall there. Because we always say that whenever you have there's two on all four sides, you have the corner pieces. You have walls on the sides, and the gap in the middle is not big enough. Is not 10 amis. It's not more than 10 amis. That would invalidate your chatzar. So, right. So the Gemara asks about Ma'ilei Havi Kamavi Shekol Rechava. So why isn't this like the case of mavi that goes into a rechava? And so what's the two steers? So it goes like this. Rashi explains there's two reasons why you would not be able to carry inside the mavi. One is because if looking towards the chatzar, all you see is empty space. You don't see any walls. So it's as if it's mefulish lagamri to Rishus Rabbim. It looks like it's open at the other end, even though in reality it isn't. And even though in reality it isn't, still that's how it looks. And the second problem is whenever you have two Rishus Yachids, you need Tekana Shlomo Melech is that you need to put up a ERU in between the two in order to carry from one to the next. And the halacha is also whenever you have a primary rishus and a secondary rishus. For example, a mavoi is the primary one. A mavoi opens up into chaseros. So if you do not have an ERU in between the two, so you are allowed to carry inside the chatzar. However, if there is no board, if there's no if there's no wall at all between the Chatzer or the Mavi, you are not allowed to carry inside the Mavi. And the reason is because, as Rashi says, b'Mavi there is something called Jerisas Regleim Olav. In the people who live in the coming off of the Mavi, it's in their right. The people of the Mavi all have a right to go into every Chatzer. And that being the case, if now you're saying you are not allowed to carry from your one Mavi to the Chatzer, then in fact you cannot even carry inside the Mavi itself, because then you might come to carry inside the Chatzer. But vice versa, we say it's not a problem, because we say you're allowed to carry inside your own Chatzer, and we're not worried you'll go the other way back into your Mavi. And Rashi explains also that how do we see that Rav argues in both cases? So he says, because when Rav Yehuda, from the fact that Rav Yehuda said specifically that his case was talking about a rechava, not a chatzer. So we see two things. First of all, in the case of rechava, there is only one reason why it might be possible, why you might not be able to carry, and that is because it looks like it's open from the Mavi into Rishus Rabbim through the going through the Chatzer. And we also see and so therefore Rav Yehuda specifically tells us that there is no problem of mefulish, that it looks like it's open. And however, the other diuk you can make in Rav Yehuda's choosing a rechava is that he had specifically said a rechava is mutter, whereas if going from a mavi to a chaser, that would be aser. And the reason is because there are people who live in the chaser, whereas there aren't people who live in the rechava. A typical rechava is a backyard; people don't live there, whereas people live coming off of houses in the chaser. And that being the case, Rav Yehuda it's implied in Rav Yehuda's halacha that if you would have a mavi opening up into a chaser, you would have a problem. You would not be able to carry inside your mavi. And therefore, Rav Yehuda specifically said a case of a rechava, of a backyard, which would therefore allow you to carry inside your mavi. And Rav, though, who says chaser, and he says that it's also to carry inside your mavi. So we see he argues on both points. We see he agrees on both points. And therefore we see he argues on both points, because he says it's a rechava, and still he says it is a chaser. Yeah. So we see he argues. Fine. So the Gemara, and the question of the Gemara was, let it be like a mavi which is open to a rechava, and let it be mutter. So Amar Le, so he said to him, Ana lo yadana, I in fact don't know if Rav is going, if Rav Yehuda is saying in the name of Rav or Shmuel. However, Uvda Hava Badura Dura Usa, there was a story, Maisa, which happened in the town of shepherds. Mavi Shekol Rechava Hava, there was a Mavi which was open into a Rechava. Also, coming to Rav Yehuda, they came in front of Rav Yehuda, V'lai Atzrachei V'lai Midi. And he did not require them to fix it up at all, to put up any more lechis or charas. And that was the same case of Rav. V'i kasha mishmei Rav, and if you're going to have a question from Rav, because we see Rav said in this case was you cannot carry inside the mavi. So Tihavi Mishmei de Shmuel, so let it be in the name of Shmuel. Like Hashem media, and it won't be a question. And then, however, then he added in Hashta de Amar Le Rav Sheshes Rav Shmuel Bar Abba. Now that Rav Sheshes said to Rav Shmuel Bar Abba, Amri Le Rav Yosef Bar Abba, or there are those who said he said to Rav Yosef Bar Abba, as for Allah, I'll tell you like this: Kan she'ervu, kan she'lo yervu. The Rav that Rashi explains that in Rav, not every case did he say you cannot carry inside your mavi. He only said you cannot carry inside your mavi if there is no eruv between the mavi and the chatzar. But if there was an eruv between the mavi and the chatzar, so you could carry inside the mavi as well. And in fact, there is no problem that it, even according to Rav, that it looks like it is open from the mavi to Rishus Rabbim via the chatzar. So now that we said this, the Rav Nami like Kasha. So you could say that the case of Indura Direusa and now you could say Rav Yehuda's case of Indura Direusa in the town of the shepherds, you could say he passed like Rav. The Kan she'irvu bnei chatzar bnei mavi, in that town the bnei chatzar had made an eruv together with the people of the mavi, and therefore they are allowed to carry. And Kan she'lo yervu, here they're speaking about where they did not make an eruv, and in that case Rav said you could not carry inside the mavi because you have problems of eruvin. Just go a few lines more. Ulamai desal kadaitin meikara bein she'ervu bein she'lo yervu pligi be'ervu b'mai pligi. So according to what we had according to how we originally thought that there is a machlokes Rav and Shmuel, both Rav and Rav Yehuda, both if in a case that we said there's a kasha batati, that there's two machlokes. One is even if there is an eruv, there's a problem that it looks like it's mefulish, looks like it's open, and if there's no eruv, we said that would also be a part of the machlokes. So what are they arguing about? Both in the case of if it would have had an eruv or if it would not have had an eruv. What are they arguing about? So we say like this: if you refer to the diagram, so going from the mavoi into the chatzar, you don't see anything. It looks like it's open straight into it. However, going from the chatzar into the mavi, you see two side walls first. There's a gap in the middle of the wall, but there is a wall there. And in such a case, it's machlokes later on. And so we say that's what Rav and Rav Yehuda are arguing in. Do we say that is considered to be a lechi, going from the mavoi into the chatzar or not? And it's machlokes later on in DAF test. So, and that being the case, if it's considered to be a lechi, so it's not. So you look at it as if there's a mechitza there. A lechi serves as a mechitza, like a wall almost, and therefore, once there's a lechi there, so it doesn't look as if it's going from the mavi into Rishus Rabbim. It doesn't look like it's mefulish, like it's open. However, if you say that if it's nearing v'chutz v'shabim b'fnim, that being that since inside the mavi you don't see anything, so therefore it can't serve as a lechi, and therefore going from there to Rishus Rabbim it looks like it's open, and therefore you will have to put up something on the other end, either a lechi or Tzurus Pesach. Okay, so and be'irvu kamiflaki to bidder Rav Yosef, and they also argue if there was an eruv. They argue in Rav Yosef. The Amar Rav Yosef lo shanu ela shekol le'emsa rechava, aval kol tzidi rechava aser. The Erev only works in our case of if you for the diagram again, it's when in the back of the chutzner you have a wall and there's a hole in the middle of the wall. However, if you would have a case, so in that case we could say an Erev works to separate the two issues and to make it that we don't look at it as if it's open to a Rishus Rabbim. However, if suppose one wall of the Mavi just continued straight, going from there into the Chaser, and from there ended off in Rishus Rabbim, and it didn't widen out into the Chaser. In that case, Rabbi Yosef says you would not be allowed even with an Erev, it would not help. It would not help, and because it looks like it's open fully into Rishus Rabbim.